All right, welcome back to the Orange and Blue Crew. It's been a long, long, long break, a long hiatus, but we haven't stopped caring about the Knicks. Haven't stopped. Well, a couple of us might have stopped watching the Knicks lately, but we haven't stopped caring. Uh, but the Knicks have stopped caring, seemingly, about playing defense because I don't know what has transpired. I don't know what changed from about a month ago, month and a half ago to now, but it is a almost unrecognizable Knicks team compared to um what
Three
we
years ago.
saw, early on and kind of, through most of I would say the middle of the season. We're recording this as of January
20th.
20th.
20.
So right now the Knicks record is 25 and 18. We're still, barely holding on to the third seed, but we got Toronto of all teams, Toronto breathing down our neck and Boston, who most people assumed was kind of gonna suck, even though I didn't think they were going to suck. I mean, yeah, they lost Jason Tatum, but people are pretending that they just had this litany of bad players. They still got good players on the team, but even Boston in what was supposed to
They
be
lost Jason
down.
Tatum and a few to like free
Well,
agency and stuff.
KP wasn't KP
Luke
anymore.
Cornett? A Knick?
Al Horford. Oh, Luke Cornett. He might be a Knicks killer, but let's be honest about Luke Cornett. But they're somehow in front of us, and the Detroit might be. I mean, they're creeping up on Indiana University football territory where, a couple of years ago they've set the record for most losses in a row, and now they're arguably the best team in the East, if not the best team in the East. So, yeah,
Who's that
By the
team?
way,
The
let me real
Celtics?
quick. I just saw a quick video of their coach, and this is like a middle-aged white guy. He's got on a rusty blazer. It looks like, and he was like, "I just win. Google me." And they did.
same
And they
thing.
Googled this guy for the past 10 years. All he does is win.
Mhm.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just thought that
Well,
was fun. Google
yeah,
me.
not and now Detroit's kind of on that same trajectory. Of course, JV Bickerstaff, I don't know if he has that same Google Me status, but man, yeah, the
Yeah,
Pistons are winning
Google
some
is
football.
4-1 losses in the playoffs in the first round.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
uh,
he can't say that.
he
Yeah.
can't say Google me, but right now, yeah, like I said, the Knicks need to Google how to play some defense because it is all bad right now. We got myself, Jai, and Reek uh, back, same crew, and it's been rough, but we're gonna take it back a little bit to kind of the beginning when things were going well, or at least when we thought like, okay, it's a new day, it's a new dawn. We got Mike Brown as the new head coach, and things gonna be interesting. And we started off the year 2-3, and everyone panicked. And I think you guys were in the chat. I think we were all in the chat kind of saying like, "Well, I think we did this last year," and I think there wasn't any much panic. And then we went on our run, and it started to look kind of how what we hoped for, where it was faster offense,
Yep.
better rotations, not just relying on six or seven guys from November to June, which is it's just not sustainable. And there were the Tibbs truthers, and there were the Mike Brown kind of sympathizers, where it was like, look, some people were saying it was time to move on. Some people were saying, especially after the 2-3 start, where it was, oh well, everyone was so quick to run Tibbs out of here. So I've been doing enough yapping. I'll open up the floor to you guys. Whoever wants to chime in. But I mean, relative to where we were at now, it started off pretty rough, but then we hit a good stretch, and I thought that was kind of going to be what we would get at least for the rest of the season. And teams go through ebbs and flows, but I feel like we're in a weird spot right now. But who I don't know, Jai or Reek, whichever one of you wants to kind of chime in on how at least the beginning of the season was. But
Yeah.
yeah, please go ahead.
I can go really quick because I want to relate it to last season, how I felt. Because for me in 24-25, like all Knicks fans hold this like January 2024 as like the pinnacle of Knicks basketball in the decade. And that I remember during that period, I couldn't wait for the next game. Win or loss after the game was over. I was counting down the hours until the Knicks played again because they were fun to watch. all year last regular season, I was white knuckling every minute of Knicks basketball. Regardless of our record or whatever, it was a tough team to watch for me. It just like compared to the other thing, what we had become accustomed to, what I thought the Brunson era was going to look like. It was just tough basketball to watch. Game one versus the Pistons, me and my dad and my mom, we went to go see Sinners before, which is like a horror movie. I was more stressed about the Knicks game, like the Knicks getting embarrassed, like I thought they were going to throughout the entirety of Sinners, than I was about like the movie. So like, obviously we were surprised by that game one outcome, but every game after that is like we were seeing a completely new Knicks team. This wasn't the team I was expecting. If the 24-25 regular season team was who we got in the playoffs last year, Pistons would have beat us in five. And now that's how I feel about this team. So yeah, really quick, like that's just even throughout the streaks that we've had, the cup championship, the tough wins at the end of the year, or the tough wins leading up to the cup championship, it's been the same story. And I don't really know what it is. But yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Yeah, no, I think well, if anybody goes back in the history of these videos and these podcast episodes, they'll know that I'm always a little negative to begin to begin. And I think this season, I've been really happy about the front office, what they did to put together the team. Tibbs was a Van Gundy disciple, so I was really happy with the way the team turned out. Then we make this Mike Brown coaching decision
Higher. Yeah.
hire, and famously again for me, I was not happy with Cat when he first got here. Not happy, not fully happy about Mike Brown. I knew there had to be a change. This season started, I did not like his system. I didn't recognize any real defense from the beginning. That's what we looked like. We looked like in the beginning what we look like now. That the team hadn't really understood the schemes, understood the system, hadn't bought in yet. And I think that he manufactured wins based on hot shooting. And that's all it was. That's all there is. We were still very poor on the defending the 3-point line. We had no interior presence on the offensive side, none on the defensive side whenever Mitch is out. So it didn't look like a real team. And then he refused to play. Granted, he was correct about Yabusele. I wish I could say what I really want to say.
And if you remember in the preseason, I was telling you guys, yo, this guy looks crazy out there. And I think it was you, Rick, who was saying, nah, he just looks like that. I'm like, no, 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 no.
No,
He's a
that was
bigger
Guy.
guy.
'Cause I said
He's a
that
bigger
motherfucker
guy,
fat,
but
man.
we posted the Knicks posted on their Instagram the clip of him catching that lob. I was like, yo, he almost didn't dunk that thing. He looked crazy. He looked like he was struggling to get up the court and
That,
jump.
that joker's butt big as hell, man. I was like, I can't believe this is an NBA basketball player. And then he came out talking about, well, I weighed more last year or something. I said, I can't even believe this guy. So,
Yeah.
all that to say, I just was very, very upset about the way this team now, this system or lack thereof, and this whole West Coast kind of offense being played in the Garden doesn't seem right. It reminds me of Mike D'Antoni trying to come in here with some gimmicky type of offense with no defense. Same thing that that he did back then, and just again bringing back trying to come in with an offensive system, which I think is good, which we needed beyond what Tibbs had, but it just doesn't have any real rhyme or reason. And there's no continuity. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I'm just not pleased.
Yeah. I mean, I was happy to see, like, what I really liked from the team early on was the offense. Like I think all of us have been vocal about the lack of 3-point defense, especially under Tibbs. And it was more frustrating under Tibbs because Tibbs was billed as Mr. Defense. Like, if
Yeah.
above all else, this team's gonna play defense. But for some reason, it seemed like every game we played, especially against good shooting teams, it was like, yo, why is everybody hitting every three? Like there's why
Wide open.
we're supposed to be a good defensive team, and we give up all these threes. And I was hoping, okay, with Mike Brown, and now it's weird because Mike Brown is really he's really built as a defensive guy, but ever since Sacramento, he's been more of this offensive. Like, I mean, a couple of years ago when the Kings were the 3 seed, I think, in the West, I mean, every Kings game was like 120 to 110,
Yeah.
120 to 110, 130 to 1, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're always in the
They were the
We
number
120s,
one offense
130s.
in the West
don't
by
have those
far.
types of shooters, bro.
Yeah, and we
It's
don't have those types of shooters. So now you're trying to do something with
no.
personnel that, I mean, on the right night, yeah, the Knicks can score 120, 130, but that's not really the personnel. I mean, I think we're at a bit of a, I don't want to say identity crisis, but
I
we're in
think
a,
I think that's what it is. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's
well,
an
I
identity.
think identity crisis isn't necessarily the word, but more of a the vision doesn't match the personnel because like Mike Brown knows what he wants the team to be. Because I think an identity crisis would be, trying to be one thing, but it's not what you have. But it's more so we have good players. Like I really do think we have good players on the team. I just think in terms of how they're being used, it just doesn't match. And
Yeah,
maybe I'm describing an identity crisis. I just don't feel like it doesn't feel like more. It doesn't feel like an identity crisis, but more of a, it's like you're trying to just jam a square piece into the round shape.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
Well, also, eh, yeah, I think you have to look at the business of what a hire like that is. When Mike Brown does his interviews, you hire him to do one thing. And as the way I feel like, and the way I've always approached it, the thing I was talking about with Tibbs last year, why I felt like we couldn't fire Tibbs after the ECF, not because he got us to the ECF, but because the roster construction didn't like they had we had a picture of something that really worked for him. We had the bigs with Hartenstein and Mitch, and then we had a bunch of shooters, and we had guys that were just really hustle players, Josh and Dante, that really bought into defense. Deuce, Quentin Grimes, all these like Tibbs type guys that really worked out. When they hire Mike Brown, the next two moves they make is this Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson signing, which are just one-to-one replacements of guys that we had last year in campaign and Precious Achua. Um, y- y- we have two glaring weaknesses at uh, defense in Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns that like can't be ignored, especially when we don't have a coach that's not a defensive that his game plan isn't a defensive archetype. Like these are huge problems, and they haven't been supported in any way. Our bench is atrocious. There's no other way to look at it. They've made every wrong decision. I really bring back to I know Shaman had like the hot shooting before the injury. I really think they made the wrong decision between him and Garrison Matthews because that's somebody who is not streaky. Like that's somebody who can just shoot, period. I know he's not in the league. Other teams can't use him. I get it, but like that's the type of decision you make to support a coach. Whether or not you disagree or you think Landry Shaman might be able to plug in more places. If you want to hire Mike Brown, you also sign a guy like Garrison Matthews or at least look for shooters. That like you hit it on the head. We don't have those type of shooters anywhere. Like that's not like it is not to say anything about our players. Like that's just not the type of play. Like just
yeah.
inherently is not the type of players that they are. So yeah,
Right. So that's what it is. I think ultimately it is the identity. The thing that I started off with was I like the way that this front office established the identity. They brought in Tibbs. He was a New York type player coach. They surrounded him with those type of players. They made a snap decision to get rid of him last year. Then I'm again every time, and I think I will qualify it every time. I am not saying that I didn't want to see Tibbs moved. At a certain point, it was too much. It was time to go. But you have to make better decisions based on the players you have. And now they're, me included, loading up on Cat. Cat is not. Um, he hasn't developed his game along with the years that he's been in the league. And I think that's the nicest way I could describe what I see from him. I think that he is a fantastic player. He has skills, but that does not make you a good basketball player. You can, like you mentioned, Garrison Matthews, that guy can shoot. Nobody else is giving him a job. He's a good shooter. Cat is 7 feet tall, good shooter, does not have a post game, can't score in the paint, without falling on the ground. And I think we're loading up on him and blaming him a lot, where a lot is due. But this is the same team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Same team. Same team. Cat's trying to find guys. You saw him on TikTok. I'm always on TikTok. Cat said, is disrespectful to the heroes that were here last year. Those guys are the true heroes, like Campaign. I was like, man, this boy is delirious. There's something wrong with him. Campaign is what you're talking about.
Ironically, though, you do say that, but I did see something that did show that Cat's numbers with Campaign on the floor were actually like crazy. It's like him,
Yeah.
the Campaign on and off with like for Cat is like I think he was like 9 points better, like 4 or 5 rebounds better, a couple of assists better, shot better, like all these things he was better. I don't know what it was that,
Uh-huh.
but I think
You know what? He can go to Bahrain with him right now. He can go ahead and get a plane with his $60 million to Bahrain, wherever the hell Campaign is playing. Because listen, that and my last thing is the roster construction with Cat and with the Knicks right now. Jai, you touched on it, but one of the key areas that they miss are a backup point guard. It was great to see the little with our guy. It was great to see yeah, it was great to see Cole get off, right? But he's not the answer. Nobody's scared of Kolek, and you don't really have a backup big. We still need Diawara to just be out there playing, and not as a backup big, but as a big 6'9", 6'10" guy that can move. He's not, again, he's challenged in many ways. But I think that the point is you need to employ these guys if you want to allow him to run this scheme, Mike Brown. He's got to have these guys that are switchable, that can move, and you can find offense for. Cat isn't doing it. The bench is awful, and he hasn't been able to find quality time for guys to give these other guys any breath, like any breathers. Like if you want to play, I thought we were going to see these guys playing less. Bridges, OG, Hart. They can't come out of the game because there's nobody else to come in for them. They may not be playing all those minutes straight through, but when they're in there, they're having to switch so much and run such far distance to get down to the corner that they're exhausted still. So you might cut off 3 minutes, but the amount of coverage they have to make in the game is way too much for any player. These guys are exhausted. I'm down on Bridges, but he's still playing the whole damn game.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I mean, yeah, it is odd because yeah, it's the exact same team that made the conference finals last year, and I mean, it was perceived to be better coming into this year. Now, you miss on Yabusele, that stinks. Shamit has been, I mean, Shamit was a revelation at the beginning of the year. And that was nice. And then, he goes down again. So that sucks.
Mitch has been incredible.
Yeah. And say again.
Mitch has been incredible.
Yeah. Mitch has been great as usual, which.
Well, with Mitch also, it's he's playing 19 minutes a game and he's not playing back to backs. So it's just like we don't really have a backup center. It's like
that's fine.
It's like he is a player like you gotta keep, but like he's not a full basketball player right now.
That does lead me to you kind of already skipped me ahead to where I was gonna go.
Sorry.
Where no, not a bad thing. I'm just saying, like, what I feel like we are actually one of the weirdest conundrums is what do you do with Mitch? Because I think I mean, when you guys were talking about, the makeup of the team, when you had, the Tibbs guys, Devo and Hartenstein, I feel like maybe last year we didn't feel the effects of their departure, but now in year two without them, I think maybe now we're feeling it. Like last year, you were able to get away with it because, Cat was a new thing, and the way that Tibbs used Cat, I think the biggest difference is Brunson was, they would start the game, but Cat would always come out quick, and it would be Brunson and the crew. And then Cat was really it was Cat and the bench, which I think is the basis for the Cat with campaign on and off numbers. Because it would be Brunson would play the whole first quarter. Cat
That's
would
right.
play like the first 4 minutes of the first quarter and then come out. And then Brunson would sit the second quarter, like the beginning of the second quarter, like the first. I mean, he would sit like 6 to 8 minutes of the second quarter, then come in after Cat was already with the second group, kind of basically doing his thing. He's got the ultimate green light, and I mean, who's going to take shots from Cat on that bench unit last year? And I feel like the difference is Tibbs was cool with that. Mike Brown is trying to, I don't want to say force, but really make the Brunson Cat two man game, two guys on the floor at the same time really stick. And for the reason that I was afraid of, and we talked about it a lot, Reek, because as much as, and you guys know I'm a Cat guy. I like Cat. I'm cool with his family and everything. So like I do have like a soft spot for him because I do want him to succeed. But my biggest concern was, is he a big or is he a
A
big
small.
wing trying to these awkward drives from the wing. He's looking like he did when he was struggling against Dallas in the playoffs, or really when he was struggling in that entire playoff run with Minnesota the year before we got him. Because that's the worst form of Cat. The worst form of Cat is that playoff version where he's trying to these awkward drives and these big steps. That's what he's doing with us now. Last year, I felt like we got a good mix of post Cat and pick and pop Cat,
You
which I
should have
thought was
watched that
fine.
game last night. This he was in rare form last night.
Oh no, no, I did check in. I said I wouldn't, and
Oh,
I did, and I regret it because I think now we've gotten back to Cat thinking he's a point guard or Cat thinking he's like 6'2", and it's like, bro, you're 7 feet tall. And I'm not one of those guys who says, oh, you're 7 feet tall, you belong in the paint at all times, and you can't do anything else. I'm not one of those guys. But last year, I thought it was a good balance of post Cat and perimeter Cat. But now we're getting, and maybe this is what Cat was alluding to at the beginning of the season. Maybe it was foreshadowing because when he said it publicly, I don't know my role. I don't know what I'm supposed to do within this offense. I think a lot of us kind of brushed it to the side and said,
oh, he
yeah,
didn't.
he'll figure it out. Like he's just being dramatic. But
I was hoping he would, but
yeah,
he's
but perhaps maybe this is the writing was on the wall, and maybe we as fans should have seen that this would happen.
Yeah,
I don't know.
the reason I have to push back on we have the same team as last year is because the physiology of the team changes completely when we're getting Christian Wood instead of Carl Anthony Towns. And you know, Cat is
this motherfucking Christian.
Cat is he last year was shooting 42% from the field from three.
Oh my
That's
God.
42%. This year he's shooting 35%. That's a significant drop off. That's a completely different player, and that
Yeah,
completely changes what other
Yeah, that's
players can
Christian
do.
Wood.
And
That's
I
not
should have
Cat.
before I said the Christian Wood thing, I should have said I love Carl Anthony Towns, and I really love the way that he played last year. But because I love Cat so much, this is unwatchable because it's affecting the team. It's affecting what, and I'm not even gonna bring it beyond these three players. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and OG Anunoby can do. Um, Jalen and Mikal, just focusing on those two have managed to scrape by being efficient at the very least, but in less attempts, in less significantly less quality attempts because of the lack of gravity in Cat on the inside and the outside, which
hmm
completely collapses what the entire team is able to do just offensively. And Mike Brown, when he's pitching, what he's going to do with this team, Cat is a huge part of that just based on his gravity. Not like we don't want Cat to have the ball in his hands that much to do that point guard thing because he's not strong like that. The gravity of a player of a big man that's shooting 42% from the field completely changes the way you attack the game. So Mike Brown, being as diligent as he is, planning for this team, that had to be a big part of it. And not only are you not getting that, you're getting a bad version of that. That's 35%. I think that's below league average.
It
So,
is.
you know, uh,
Thirty-five
that's
percent
why
is
you
below.
have
I
to.
remember. I remember when 35% was league average.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's
crazy.
36 right
It's crazy how far we've come because I remember when if you were shooting 35%, you were still considered like a shooter.
Yeah, it's
You know?
30. I think it's 36 at this point. But yeah, go ahead, Jai. You're right because
Yeah.
he's planning the team surrounding Cat, but he also doesn't like what Cat has produced. I think also Cat's field goal percentage is down from 54% to like 48% overall.
Yes. No.
Right.
He.
Yeah,
This
it's
is statistically
52
one of
to
his, if not his
46.
worst season. I think of his career.
52 to 46.
And that's 25 points to 21.
Yeah. Like he's. Now I don't want to dogpile on Cat. I think we have to do. I'm willing to do it. And not that I'm super brave for it, but I think we also have to address the elephant in the room of um, Brunson. Like Brunson has now it's a bittersweet pill to swallow because I mean, obviously, he has saved this team time after time after time after time after time. So this isn't to disparage him in any way, but I think one of the things last year, and I think I mentioned it too in our group chat, like people always would pick on Brunson for his defense, but if you go back and watch that Celtics series in particular, there were plenty of times where Brunson was holding his own against Tatum, Brown, White, Holiday, whoever, guys coming at him downhill, and he was able to. Obviously, his thing is drawing charges, but even if he wasn't drawing charges, he was staying in front, being
Yeah,
physical because that's his thing. He's obviously not the tallest guy, but his advantage is his core and just his lower body strength. He's a ridiculous. I think he's so much stronger than people realize because to be that small but to play the style that he plays with, you got to be a real strong dude
yeah.
um,
And half the
to
guys in
to
the
do
NBA
that.
are skinny as hell, like Jason Tatum. These guys are,
Right,
he's got to weigh 190 pounds. That's skinny for a man.
right,
Six.
and still he was holding his own last year, but this year, and it's a little alarming, and it may be happening. Like I'm starting to feel like Dan Campbell. I don't know how close you guys follow football, but not last year, but 2 years ago when the Lions were really kind of making that becoming a national like, hey, look out for the Lions. They lost to the 49ers in the NFC Championship. And in the post game presser, Dan Campbell said, um, I feel like this may have been our best shot. The more and more this season goes on, and the more and more I look at how he started this year, and the more and more I look at just what's transpired over the last year and a half, I'm starting to think last year might have been our best shot. And even 2 years ago, like that, like we had a two, there's a real chance that we had a 2 year window, the last year with Randall and then last year with Cat, where those were our two best shots and we might have missed our chance. And I don't and it's not even to be hyperbolic. It's just the more and more I watch this team, the more I'm thinking, damn, we may have done it because Brunson's not getting any younger. And the issue with Brunson is his athleticism at his size is what's going to be his edge. And then the older he gets and the more he loses a step, I mean, it hasn't become grossly, my bad, I'm finished up in a second. It hasn't become blatantly that
He
he's
was
lost
telling you
anything
pause.
yet.
He wasn't telling
But
you to
the
stop
more,
talking.
but more and more, time goes by, he's gonna lose some of that athleticism, which is keeping him afloat, and it's gonna start to become a problem. And then with Cat regressing, that doesn't help. McCall being, I mean, we joked
What is
about,
Mikal
you
Bridges?
know,
What did he be doing, man?
yeah,
Like,
we joked last year about those one-off plays that were worth however many first-round picks or whatever, but it's just not. I'm really starting to feel like Dan Campbell, where it's like I look at last year making the Eastern Conference Finals, and I'm not saying I think I would have given us a better shot against the Thunder than people would have given us because I think people looked at the Pacers as just like this everybody can do it everything and whatever. But I mean we took them to 7 games. We could have 6 games and really if not for like I said, Tibbs having to experiment in the conference finals could have been a much different series. But I'm really starting to think that was our best shot because
but
now
you keep bringing up this athleticism that Brunson has. I don't think that I'm fearful that Brunson is running out of our athleticism. I don't think he has any athleticism.
I don't
I
think
think,
he's yeah.
yeah,
It's a Harden type.
I think that his magic is in the fact that he doesn't have any athleticism and he keeps everybody off balance because he's so skilled at what he doesn't have. That's what makes him incredible, right? But the thing about this team is you might be right, but I don't want to push the panic button just yet. I think we need to make sure we still need to see what Mike Brown can do with the defense. If he's a coach and if he is as heady as they say he is, and if he's focused on understanding what's going on, yeah, let him go through some of the things that I used to love about coaches. I hate Phil Jackson, but one thing that I did like one thing I did like about what he would do and what we're learning that he would do, and probably what the Golden State coach does, Kerr, is they let him play through certain adversity, right? I watch teams games where coaches would, as soon as they go down 10, like Doc Rivers, they go down 10, timeout. You know what's going to happen. You go down a couple points, timeout. They try to time out these guys out of these bad spells. Phil Jackson famously would let the guys play through it, figure it out, come up with what they know, and then play and eventually win. And I think that some of that is being employed right now with Mike Brown and the team overall. Is I can tell you what to do. I can tell you how it works. I can show you by having short rotations and getting us through this, through these phases, and we can win if we execute the way that I say we should. But if you don't, then you guys have to be able to figure out what you're going through, and come out on the other side. I think that there's some of that happening still right now. I think he's still just letting them figure out who they are, because that's where I was going earlier when I challenged your the idea that it may not be an identity crisis. I think it is somewhat. I think these guys understand that they can win, but they're fighting against what he wants them to do because it doesn't give them all the individual attention they are accustomed to. Like, you remember what in the beginning of the season he wouldn't play Josh Hart. You see that Brunson's touches are down. Brunson doesn't get foul calls. They're not running the offense so that he can isolate and just run in there and get foul calls, and the league's not giving him the calls. Cat had to make whatever adjustments there are that he probably wants him to play closer to the basket. OG is not getting that carte blanche offensive opportunities that he was, but unless he's driving, right? He's just not parked in the corner like in Tibbs' offense. And Mikal Bridges, they want him as an additional ball handler. That's why he played so much last year, and that's why you could, have Brunson on the bench, because you had Mikal Bridges as a more of a ball handler that came up and tried to set offense with the other team. In this, they don't want to be stuck to that. You can see that happening, but exactly what is it supposed to be? What are we supposed to get? That's what I'm waiting to see. I'm waiting to see what Mike Brown is, what he sees from this team, and it'll probably be telling, because I think, and Jai, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, we picked up Yabusele before we had Brown, right? And I know we knew we were getting um, uh, Jordan Clarkson before Brown signed as well, because Clarkson was like,
Yeah,
I'm
Clarkson
coming
was
in.
definitely first.
And I think Yabusele was also there because we were still trying to figure out if we were going to get what's his name in before camp, or Ben Simmons, or Trey, what's his name, the guy that he had in Sacramento, the 16 guy,
Mm.
used to play at Utah, that he liked him. Gosh, I'll remember his name.
Just Lyle.
Yes, Trey
Yeah,
Lyles. So we were deciding on those two, but if we and I'll look it up to see it. But I think Mike Brown was stuck with some of these guys, and that's why he loves Landry Shamet, because Landry Shamet is his, right? And he wanted to see what Landry Shamet was as opposed to what Josh Hart is. Um, but I think we still need to see what we're going to get. I don't understand it. That's why I'm not getting paid what Mike Brown is getting paid. But I don't understand what he's doing with Cat. And I know that Cat has just sort of checked out. He just looks
he's just out there.
disinterested
Yeah.
and disappointed. Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks sad. Really. He looks
We
sad.
gotta, yeah, just to go off your point real quick, just before, and I'll pass it to you, Jai, because I know we were just kind of riffing for a minute, but yeah, like kind of like you said, Cat does look, he just looks, yeah, he looks disinterested, he looks dejected, he does look like. eh, eh, he like I really do think he was kind of foreshadowing a little bit, where he was like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I think he meant it. And I don't know if that was more of a I don't like what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna go out and play and kind of rely on my talent, or if I mean, I'm out in practice every day, so I don't know what Mike Brown's telling them, but clearly there's a disconnect,
Mm.
and but I do think part of it is self-inflicted because I think Cat, and I think I said this last year too, the farther away, it's like um it's like Baker Mayfield. The farther away Baker Mayfield got from Lincoln Riley, his mechanics got worse, and he just lost a lot of what made him perceived to be the number one pick in the NFL. Cat, the farther he got from Coach Cal, it was like the more he started to morph back into what I would call high school Cat. Because what we're seeing now is what he was doing in high school, where he was outside in as opposed to inside out. Because at Kentucky, I don't even think he. The funny thing is about Kentucky, I don't even think he shot threes like that. I don't remember him shooting three. I mean, he shot threes because that was his whole thing was I'm big, but I can play like I can play a point guard. I can shoot threes. I can play on the wing, but I'm also 7 feet tall. And Coach Cal had him in the paint with a post game. He was hitting hook shots, playing inside, dunking on people. But like the further and further away he's gotten from Kentucky, he's kind of tried to, I don't want to say reinvent himself, but kind of try to get back to high school Cat, which, I mean, he's talented enough where he'll average 20 a game, but is it conducive to
No,
good
no,
basketball? I don't think so.
no, no, it's not. Nobody want to see that shit. It's just terrible, bro. Like, I don't want to see him. It looks awful. He looks awful out there in the basketball court, man. And then he took a pump fake hezzy step back corner three last night and kick somebody in the nuts. How do you do all that? How does your
I think
body,
you
how
said,
does
yeah,
one's
I think
body work in that way?
I think I can pinpoint the exact moment when it happened because I believe you gave us not quite the colorful detail, but what'd you see? What'd you say? You said something.
Oh, you talking about in the chat last
Yeah,
night?
I remember you sending a text. Yeah, here we go. He gets a flagrant for kicking a defender. I'm gonna lose it. And running fadeaway corner three. If you can fathom such a shit. Okay.
I just want to see the video, man. Nobody wants to play it. I can't find it on TikTok. It's just the dumbest. He looks so stupid, and he makes a face afterward, like What was that? And Mike Breen, he came down one time and shot an air ball three because he had it going a little bit. He scored like 6 or 7 points or so. He came down and stepped into a three at the top of the key. Mike Breen was like, I don't know if I like that shot. Well, I don't even say nothing about him no more, man. He just be
Yeah, he's the king of the trail three off the back
oh,
rim, hard off the back rim.
God. Oh my God, it's bad. So, Jai, what you got? What you got on Mike Brown? I think you know you got undying love for Cat, and uh, we got Mike Brown. What you got on Mike Brown?
Um, no, I mean, I don't have anything bad to say about Mike Brown. And it's not like a, what do you call it, rose tinted glasses thing. It's just like the way you are supposed to approach basketball in 2026 is the way Mike Brown has the Knicks playing when they're clicking. And the Knicks are just going to have to buy into that. And the front office is going to have to buy into that if they want to win. Because it's been very clear. Two champions in a row play the same brand of basketball. The Celtics and the Thunder. So, it's sort of it has to be what highlighted Mike Brown's kind of tactics when they were looking for a coach because they know it. They know that the
Yep.
Knicks are going to have to get to that type of shape to be competitive. So, uh, zoom out a little bit. The Knicks are 25 and 18. We just got over the hump in the season, the middle of the season, and we have a whole half a season to go. Schedule intensity for the Knicks isn't like notable. It's not like we've in previous seasons we've had gauntlets to run after a certain point. And honestly, the competition in the league this year to compare, to years prior, the teams aren't, they're not that, they're not tough in the same way. If we're playing the way we're playing, even when we're playing well, like the Knicks haven't looked like a contending team yet.
Mm,
And they're the third seed in the East at 25 wins and 18 losses.
true.
So the window is still very much open. There is just a really difficult decision that has to be made now. And when it comes time to make that decision, I think that Leon Rose and has done the best by the Knicks every single time.
Yes.
In these moments where we need that one thing to spark the team and get them going in the right direction. We haven't had a trade in a while, and like that's something that usually out signings are different, but something about something going out and something coming back in is impactful. It's meaningful to a team. It calls a little bit of soul searching, and they like they toss everything aside and decide we need to win, we need to make this work, and that's what happens. So there are difficult decisions that need to be made, and to me, they're like really obvious right now. Um, so, I've been reading articles. A lot of the guys who claim to have the contacts with Leon Rose say that he's gonna try and stick it out, which like could work. I'm not gonna lie like this team couldn't click it together. I'm gonna bring back something I said early, like in the podcast when we traded for Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic. The way that they were shooting when we traded for them was not human. Like it wasn't natural, and it kind of figured itself out by the time the playoffs rolled around. The way the Knicks are losing right now is not natural. Like there's something happening that is beyond basketball. So, if and that's like not like a supernatural thing, but like it could be identity crisis or, they don't like the coach or the coach doesn't like this guy. Whatever it is, I feel like they can figure it. It doesn't feel too far gone to me. I know too far gone. Too far gone is the 21-22 season with Randall and RJ doing whatever they wanted to do for 48 minutes.
Don't say
So
his name again. RJ. Don't say it no more.
so yeah, that's really what I'm looking at. I mean, and I think that we got options to we got players that can go out and there's a lot of players that can come in. So if that's the way they want to go, I'm cool. If they want to stick with the team at this point, I'm cool. I feel like they can work it out from here. But yeah, what do you guys got?
Yeah. Hopefully they can figure it out. I don't want to make it seem like I think all hope is lost. It's just like the more and more we play like how we're currently playing, the more and more I'm like, damn, like did we shoot our load these last 2 years? Who knows? But I mean, the one thing that I have been holding on to is, I mean, look at last year. We lost every game in the regular season to the Celtics. I think every game we also lost to the Celtics by double
Cleveland.
digits. And
Yeah.
then we go to the playoffs, and I mean, we looked like the better team. So what you see in the regular season doesn't guarantee what you'll see in the postseason. I mean, even the Thunder at one point were what, 26-1,
27 and
and
1.
then
Yeah.
they hit a rough patch where they were losing to everybody, and now Jalen Williams is hurt, and Shea wasn't playing his best, and guys weren't doing. I mean, they had the guy who I'm blanking on his name right now, but he was average. He barely played last year, and now he AJ
Higgins.
Mitchell.
Oh,
AJ Mitchell, now he's starting and it was averaging 20, but then he hit a rough patch. So, teams go through this. It's a long season. I mean, we got the Nets tomorrow. Like I said, we're recording this as of January 20th of the new year, 2026. So we could we could start a winning streak tomorrow with the Nets. We go and we play Brooklyn and we take care of business and we win by double digits, and maybe makes people forget about the fact that we just lost to the hapless Mavericks by 30 on MLK Day. But um it's just we're in an interesting spot. I'm not gonna say it's hopeless. Like it could be so much worse. We've all seen worse. Like you said, 21, 22. I mean, pick a year from 2004 to 2019. Like we've all seen worse. So
yo, we had Marty Collins. Yeah, we had Tony Douglas as a starting point guard. We've
yeah,
seen worse.
yeah. So like,
No disrespect. We had
we
Rolando Balkman as a starting power forward at one point. We had Andrea Bargnani. Andrea Bargnani was a big time pickup for us. I couldn't. Yeah, we've seen bad.
so we've seen worse, and for having the problems that we're having, I'd much rather have these problems than be looking at mock drafts, right?
Yo, we had
So
Lou Amundsen as a starting center.
right,
I'm
so
pulling some names. I know y'all don't remember
no,
them.
no,
Lou
I
Amundsen.
But also, there's a lot of things there are things that are going right for the Knicks, as far as like some player. I know that you guys, I guess, hate Mikal Bridges, but the deal is the story in the NBA this year is that 3-and-D players are sacrificing one aspect of their game. Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, Trey Jones, like all these guys who were lauded last year, these great 3-and-D guys, they're sacrificing one part of their game for the other to help their team because, with the way that offense and defense are moving now, it's not feasible to be playing these minutes doing both.
Yeah,
Uh, Mikal
because
Bridges is still doing both at these average 16 points, 50% from the field, 40% from three, two steals, one block. Last year he wasn't doing either. So it's like he had a big rise in the playoffs. And at the beginning of this season, honestly, when they were like, okay, Cat's not ready, we're just gonna go with Mikal at number two. We got to see a lot of great basketball from him. So there's no doubt in my mind that the way he rose last year in the playoffs is gonna happen again. That's one guy we know. We know OG Anunoby is great in the playoffs. We know Mitchell Robinson is great in the playoffs. We know Jalen Brunson is great in the playoffs. Like these are still guys that we have in Josh Hart. So these are still guys that we have in our arsenal. I didn't name somebody. I didn't name a couple guys. So those are guys that there are question. Hmm?
campaign.
Yeah, those are guys that, could be shopped or could,
Oh,
improve in this time. So, there's a lot that's good right now. Knicks can keep losing, they can keep losing. They can lose 8 more games, be at 500. Like, I think we're going to be in the playoffs. I don't think I want to entertain anything else.
yeah.
So, there's a, you know, I think that it's not it is bad, it's not fun to watch, but I think that everybody, right? They're having a players meeting right now as we speak. There's coach has got to know they're on the hot seat. Mike Brown doesn't feel confident about his job. Leon Rose might not feel confident. James Dolan is moving a little bit different these days. He's more out here with the Knicks. So, there's a lot at stake here. And I think that the Knicks recognize that too, which in years prior, I don't think I could say that. But I feel like now everybody knows something has to change.
Right.
Sure. Now that makes me think though, because both of you guys touched on it, and I don't know if necessarily if you were alluding to it or not, but D, you were saying that you don't think that uh, we've completely missed our opportunity here, but it's looking scarier. It may be that we've shot our load. Jai, you believe that we're going to rebound again in the playoffs. I only have some hesitation there. I agree with you, but I have some hesitation only that the confidence came from the scheme. The confidence came from the identity of the team. The identity of the team had everything to do with just playing D, even with Cat and Brunson out there. One of the charges that we had for Mike Brown coming in was we needed to get more out of that two-man duo. You got those are our two best guys. Let's see them get some work in together. We're not seeing that, right? But and then you were alluding to, it kind of sounds like you're alluding to, there may be some opportunity to move guys. Who comes in to make Mike Brown's system work from what we've seen so far, right? Like who comes in? Who do we get? I don't know everybody who's available. I know we're right up against the second apron. And I obviously know that there's a couple of big names out there that are probably going to be moved. One that I saw that I was a little bit excited about, and then just sort of brought back down to earth was was it Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr.
Jackson.
No, you no.
I don't like
Yeah, and
him.
that's what I'm saying.
You
Like
like
I
him.
was, I got a little excited, and I was brought back down to earth, right? Like
I'm
because I
on
see
record
him
in
as a
multiple
defender,
group chats calling
but they
him
showed
the most
they showed
overrated
that
player in
this
the league.
Joker O's is 6'11" and averages 5 rebounds.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't even want him to be mentioned with the Knicks again.
Yeah.
But then I saw another one out there for Jeremy Grant and Drew Holiday from Portland. And not saying I don't know who would go out to come back, but Drew Holiday is one of those players for me that I would take Drew Holiday if he was 43. He just knows how to play basketball. He looks a little. He's older now. He's definitely lost a step, but he just really knows how to play basketball, and he knows how to do a lot of things extremely well. With the basketball, and we definitely need a backup point guard, and we need a defensive big. And I think you could keep Cat, right? If but just not only rely on the minutes that he has to be out there for down the stretch.
But
Who
yeah,
do you guys think we could bring in that that would change and make this team operate the way that it should? Because my last thing is you talked about campaign, and the thing about campaign was completely committed to feeding the ball to the post until they figured out he was not a good post passer, right? Where he couldn't make the entry pass. Teams figured that out. Defenses figured that out, and we would get a lot of turnovers trying to get Cat the ball closer to the basket. But that was his only mission, was to make sure that he came in, controlled the ball, and got the ball into the post to start the offense. And then he hit some threes that we really needed down the stretch sometime. But who do we bring in that can do those things? Because that's very important to a basketball game. We got to be able to get the ball over the half court, and we got to be able to get into offense much faster than we can when we have people pressuring the ball, and then we got to spread it around. So who do we bring in? What happens? What happens to get this ship righted and to get that spark we need that we normally have around this time of year?
think the most important, or I would say that Leon, if I'm Leon, I'm prioritizing bringing somebody in without trading Cat. I know it's not maybe the sexy thing to think or talk about right now because everyone's out on Cat and he's the scapegoat. I wouldn't even say a scapegoat. It's just easy to dump on Cat. I don't know, Cat. There's just some people in life who are just the people just like dumping on them. It's easy to dump on them. I'm not gonna dump on Cat, but I feel like as long as if you can bring in an outside, I think the difference honestly is a guard. Like Josh Hart is cool at times, but like no one's really like if he's not hitting hero grenade shots, then he's too sometimey. Bridges, I think, like you said, Jai, his is still one of the only guys who's going to give you, he's giving you 16 points and he's going to give you good defense. OG, which and he's still doing it, and I wish this is the my biggest gripe with OG, and I've said this multiple times. He'll score 37 and it'll be like, oh my God, is this Kawhi Leonard? And then the next game, he'll shoot 4 shots and have 4 points. And you're like, why did you do that? Like
Mm.
you just
Or
had 30.
or because we haven't gotten on him enough, or that motherfucker will miss 7 shots, 7 threes in a game, five
Yeah,
threes in a game, miss 6 threes in a game. What happens?
right.
What happens? So
I
yeah,
think that I
he's
think
he's
what
a
we need to
culprit.
yeah, I think what we need to bring in is a guard. I don't know what guards are on the market that are attainable without getting giving up Cat. I don't know what our I mean, Jai, you would know better than me. I don't know what our draft capital is looking like, but I think that is because I think Brunson is really the lone I don't need a ball screen initiator.
Yep,
Bridges needs a ball screen. Deuce needs a ball screen.
yep.
Josh Hart obviously needs a ball screen. OG even if he's not in the mid post needs a ball screen. So I think what the difference could be because Jordan Clarkson's cool when he's hitting, but he's just a bench guy. He's either going to give you 20 or 7. But I think we need a starting caliber guard that can initiate offense that doesn't always need a ball screen. And
You
that
need
might mean
Nembhard.
yeah, it sounds niche. It sounds niche. And I think that actually could be attainable. I'm not the biggest Nemhard guy, but I think the Pacers are in a unique situation where um I think they're content with sucking and trying to get Darren Patterson in
Mhm.
the draft, which banking on tanking in the NBA is crazy because you can be the worst team in the league and draft like ninth, which
Mm-hmm.
is so I don't tanking in the NBA is the dumbest thing you can do, I think. But I think they're content with at least giving it a shot and hoping that the numbers fall where they may. And then
And they will.
if they can at least land top 2 or 3, maybe getting one of um Peterson, Debanza, if for some reason Debanza doesn't go number one, which I'd be shocked if he didn't, or
You
I've seen a
think
lot of
Boozer?
people talking about, huh?
Boozer? No, too young.
Or Cam Boozer, any one of those 3. But so that's why I do think, yeah, maybe you could get a Nemhard in that situation. But my issue with Nemhard is he's kind of in the OG camp where one game he'll have 25, and then the next game he'll have 7, and I'm just sitting there watching like, why did you do that? Like I'm not expecting you to make every shot you take, but it's like, okay, you had 25 and you shot 13, 14 shots. Then the next game you come out, you shoot the ball 6 times. It's like what changed?
Yeah.
So I think that would really help the Knicks is
Another
okay,
guard.
yeah,
Another
another
guard with
guard because I think you can
ball
like if I'm Mike
handling
Brown,
scoring guard.
you can beat it into Cat. Look, man, I'm not saying you can't shoot threes, but just get inside. Be an inside presence. I think you can beat that into him. And I mean, show him film from the Pacers series. What he did against the Pacers, still feasible. But um, for for as far as I think what a trade could do for us, I think a guard that can initiate offense without needing a ball screen, somebody that can actually score outside of Brunson from the perimeter on a more consistent basis, I think that is what's missing.
What do you see,
Um,
Josh?
I just think that I have to do some more reading on it, but we have a Wizards pick that just got really interesting,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't think the Knicks really want. So I feel like you should do something with it. Um, but beyond that, like talking about what the Knicks need, um, like the Knicks just need a real a center. Like they just need somebody who plays center in 2026. Like there's two, like that's my first thing is like we have two extremes in Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns, where it's like one guy is too much and one guy is not enough consistently. We need like the Knicks have never like that starting five with Jalen Brunson at one and Isaiah Hartenstein at five. Like that was just beautiful basketball. Like it was that's really and that's really all you needed to get that hapless offense that we had when everybody was down started. Like that's enough to throw defenses off in the modern league, but you can't really do that anymore. So the Knicks just they don't even need to, like Darren's saying, we don't need to trade Mitch or Cat. We just need a center to plug in the middle somewhere that can do a little bit of scoring and be serviceable defensively and maybe move the ball, play at the shoulder a little bit. Like we just have two like dinosaurs who can't improve in one direction. They're one's a defensive stalwart with offensive rebound capability, one's an offensive stalwart with defensive rebound capability, and Mitch can't do offense, Cat can't do defense. And it's too polarizing at a really important position and one of my favorite positions. And then beyond that, please stop with the streaky scores. You get like we've talked about so many people that can give you two or they can give you 27. Can I get a guy that can give you eight every night? Like there's players out there that can do that. And it
Yeah,
puts less stress on OG and Mikhail and Josh and players that have to, what are we going to get from the bench? Or am I just going to have to play this whole game and force? Like the less forcing from players that any scheme shouldn't be forcing at all because they have some form of support. Like that's that's just like basic. And that's what I was really getting at with the Garrison Matthews thing was like just give you somebody who can do one thing every night. Not even in a great. I don't need him. I don't need a basketball reference post. Oh, Garrison Matthews, 30 points. Eye emoji. I don't care. 8 points, two threes. That's what I need. So, yeah, that's I would really like a splashy play with Cat because I think that could give us the most return. I don't want a big player. Like we can get like a great center, a couple shooters with a Cat, or OG, Mikhail, whoever. Like I just think that that's something that works better for me, my NBA mind. But otherwise, yeah, I think that the first things I outlined are what I'm looking for.
yeah. I think we,
The last thing that I want to say is the issue with trading Cat is the same issue that I have with Randall, and you guys have heard me say it before. Is if you trade a player like Cat, I look at trades as unless you're offloading or unless it's just the time has come for a certain player and it's time to go in a different direction. If I'm in win now mode and I'm trading a player who's a key piece, I need to get somebody equal or better back because I'm also including draft capital and other players. So the only the only issue I have with trading Cat is the only Cat trade technically I would really want to see is a trade for Giannis.
yeah,
Unless you're trading for Giannis, I don't think you need to be trading Cat because who are you going to get back? Jeremy Grant? You're going to trade Jeremy? You're going to trade Cat to Portland for Jeremy Grant? Jeremy Grant's a nice guy, Syracuse guy. Go Orange, love him. But I don't even think I think he is very content with playing meaningless basketball in the Northwest and just averaging 20 and getting his hundreds of millions and there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's like him bringing him into New York, or a guy like that into New York, I think would be the dumbest thing you could do. I think you'd be shell shocked. He'd go from averaging 20 to averaging like 14 and everyone's like, well, what happened? It's like, well, now he's playing basketball that matters, and that's not his MO. He was
yeah.
cooling out with Chauncey Billups and gambling. But now he's trying to play real ball.
No.
Not sure. I
That
know.
that that is not the answer, and you're right. The only, and I didn't touch on that because that's the only thing that's happening. And if Leon Rose does that, then he needs to be the logo in New York. If he can flip Cat for Giannis, you know that's incredible. Giannis could play center. He can play anything he wants. On this team. But I think you give up a lot um, in terms of the additional players that would have to probably be involved. Or I think maybe just another one. I think you would if it's Giannis, then
I
you
think it
probably
would
got
be like Cat and OG, and I would
yeah.
be
It'd be,
pretty. I wouldn't be too happy with that.
yeah, you'd be sad until they won the championship because
I don't know.
I
See,
think I think Giannis on this team delivers a championship.
maybe
Uh,
Giannis hot take that I'll save for the next episode.
I think Giannis delivers a championship onto this team if he replaces Cat. And if by some chance we get a chance to keep OG, then that's just sugar on that's just icing on the cake.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
that 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 I'd be happy about. But if it was just Giannis, then we're getting into my hot take territory, which is, I mean, I'll just quickly allude to it. I'll quickly allude to it. After 2021, what have the Bucks done? And I don't mean that as like, oh, everything's Giannis's fault, but it's
yeah,
like,
It's
I
first
mean,
round
they've got
exits. Nothing but first round.
it's just first and second round exits.
but they didn't
And this
have
is
Brunson.
supposed to be, and this is, Giannis is supposed to be, after that, he's best in the world. He's still top five. Well, can top five get back to the conference finals after winning a ring? I'm not saying he's got to keep winning the finals every year, but
Well,
maybe
y'all got Jokic winning multiple MVPs
he's been
after
back to the
they won
conference
it.
finals since
He's been in
then.
the WCF a couple
He's been in
times.
he's been in the conference final at least. I'm not again not saying I think we're in a league where we haven't had a repeat champion since the Warriors, I think. So
No,
we're
yeah.
in that type of a league where it's just like,
But
it's
who
make
is
or
who
miss.
has Giannis had? Who has Giannis had? He just got rid of the shooting guard that he had. He
You're
brought in
supposed to
they brought
be
in they
you're
brought in
supposed to
Dame.
be
They brought in Dame who got hurt. He tore his whole leg off. You brought in
Well,
you
also
got
another thing is
Honey.
who will Giannis have like outside of Brunson here if he comes here? Because it's really like
it's
that's the thing with
mostly the
Giannis.
same thing. It ends up becoming mostly the same thing. And then you got, I
I
mean,
hope
who's your
it's the same
center?
thing.
Who's your
Brunson is
center?
a
Mitchell
scary
Robinson? 20 minutes
yes,
of Mitchell Robinson every other
yes.
day?
I'm taking it.
I don't know. I think he'd be in a similar situation. It'd be nice to have Brunson, but you'd basically be going from Bucks of Milwaukee. It'd be the New York Bucks. Giannis is Giannis. Brunson is Lillard. Maybe a
And
little
we
bit
need we
better.
need bigger guys for
Controversial
that team.
statement, maybe, but maybe a little bit better. But then the rest of the guys are like, ah, it's just like, do I like this? Do I even want this? Do I like what do I do
You
with
want what
this?
you got now?
I'd be cool with getting Giannis if you keep OG. But if you got to trade OG, it becomes far less attractive. You become Bucks East or you become Bucks East Coast as opposed to Bucks Midwest.
Fourth.
And
Uh,
and that's
OG with Giannis would be like that's the league doesn't like they can't let defense and offense. It just opens like so much for that guy. He needs a
all right.
five
yeah.
like
So
that.
Giannis, Cat Bridges.
I don't even think
I
yeah. I
don't
mean yeah, but I just feel like they wouldn't do
sounds
that.
better, but it's still pretty. It's because then what? Now Josh Hart plays more.
Why not? Cat
Yeah,
Bridges.
well, Brunson, OG. I'm
Been
gonna
in the
stand what I
group
said.
chat agreeing with me when I say the more minutes Josh Hart, I was like, Josh Hart is not a player that can be playing 30 plus minutes consistently in the playoffs. He's a 25 minutes per game in the playoffs guy. And
True.
then every now and then, if he's having a good game and he ends up playing 34 minutes, you're not mad at it. But if he's averaging 34 minutes in the playoffs, you're like, okay, this isn't a
He's not
serious team.
averaging 34 minutes with Giannis out there. If
Yeah, he's
you
not.
give up,
I
if
think
you
I
give
think
up Cat and Bridges to bring back Giannis, you're gonna have another player coming back. Probably what's his name? the one they want to get rid of now, the guy from LA,
Kuzma?
Kuzma. You're gonna probably bring back Kuzma.
That would
He's
honestly
smart.
help height wise. Like that.
My stomach just turned thinking about that.
Yeah, it's gonna be ugly, but he can come off the bench. And you got Josh, and when you want to swap out Josh, you put in Kuzma. I bet you it'll work.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
Okay.
stand. I'm gonna be consistent with my take. Brunson, OG, and Giannis could luck into a. They can luck into a ring
That would
in
be
that
cool.
first year.
That would be
Yeah,
cool. My only issue would be just you're really weak at the two.
yeah, but it's okay
I
at
don't
that
care
point. We're
about
really
the
weak
two.
at the
I don't
five
care
right
about
now.
that. I'm not saying I
Mhm.
need Kobe there, but dang, can I get Josh Hart, a 6'2" two guard who
So
can't
you
shoot?
going against? So all you would need is a defender because OG will be the two. OG will play against the two because who you got to fight against in the East? You got to go against the small backcourt of Cleveland, and you got to go against the size of Detroit with Cade Cunningham as the point guard. And now if you put Josh in there to defend him, okay, until Josh fouls out, then you bring in Kuzma until he fouls out, and then they got to contend with Giannis,
Gonna foul a
OG,
whole
and
team out?
Kane's going to foul them out. But then they have to deal with Giannis, OG, and Brunson on defense. That's a load, bro. That's a load.
Just talking about OG being 35, 20, 28 one day and
What do you
11 the
have to
next.
what does OG have to do with Giannis on the court?
Literally
Because
just shoot and
if
play
we're
defense.
depending on his
That's
offense, he's too because you look at OG's average. Someone made this point
Giannis
on
can go
Twitter.
for 50. Cat can't go for 50.
Cat
Giannis
can
can
go
go
for
for
50.
50. Huh?
Cat can go for 50. Not
He's
right
had a
now,
50-point game. He
but
can't do it now.
Cat's had 60 before. Actually, no, I think they lost because he was going for 60 that one
yeah.
time. They did it
Exactly.
for it.
Look,
But
Giannis out there going for all right, Giannis could go for 40 and OG go for 8. Brunson going for 30 or 25. Brunson wake up
Brunson's
going
averaging 28 right now. So,
exactly.
and we're like,
Easy.
that's with nothing around. But we also have 3 minutes left.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll dive deeper into, we're getting close to the trade deadline, so I'll come prepared with more notes because I could dive deep into my Giannis diatribe. And I'll come with receipts and stats and numbers. I know Jai's a numbers guy, and I think he'll be pleasantly surprised with the numbers that I could come prepared with. And not even numbers, it's just literally a timeline of things that have transpired involving Giannis Antetokounmpo since 2021. But
Are you going to mention
um,
that Doc Rivers is his coach?
yeah, but I
Okay.
don't blame him
I
that
just wanted
much.
to make sure you wanted to bring all the
Yeah,
elements.
it's a timeline. It's
Gotcha.
timeline. But all that being said, happy to bring another episode of the Orange and Blue Crew back. Of course, like I said, it's been a long time, but we didn't go anywhere. We didn't start talking about the Knicks. We just we've been handling business. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Again, more episodes coming on a more consistent basis, and hopefully we can start winning again. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch y'all next time.
All right.